Glasses in session. Let's go to the Glasser guest line. Check in with Jonny Lazarus, host for NHL and Daily Faceoff. Make sure you guys are following Johnny on X at JLazzy23. Johnny, always great having you on the show, man. Wanted to talk some hockey with you because I'm a Caps fan, and Ovechkin is on the brink of history. He's only 3 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky for the all-time goals scoring leader. He's minus 500 on BetMGM to do it. He's got 7 games left to score 3 goals, so it looks like Ovi is going to eclipse the great one. I mean, you're a guy that obviously follows the sport. You watch it closely. Did you ever think that we would get to this point where somebody would have a chance to break Gretzky's record and look like that they're going to end up breaking the record?
I can't sit here and honestly say, well, first of all, good to be here with you, PJ. But I can't honestly sit here and say that I thought he would do it. But what's more impressive is how he's doing it. And David Amber actually put out a great stat last night that the best part of all this is that Ovechkin's just been on pace. Like, if Ovi played another 5 years, and people said he played until he was 43, I think anyone would have guessed he'd break the record by then. But the fact that he's only played 2 less games than Wayne Gretzky and has 2 less goals than Wayne Gretzky is the most insane thing. Like, David Amber put it out the other night or last night. Gretzky played in 1,487 games and had 894 goals. Ovechkin has played in 1,485 games and has 892 goals. So,
wow.
It's pretty remarkable. And if Ovi can come out and score a hat trick tomorrow night at home against Chicago, which is something that I'm rooting for, he scored his 800th goal against Chicago in hat trick form. I think it was a hat trick. It might have been 2 goals, but pretty sure the hat trick goal was the 800th goal. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that'd be pretty amazing. So, for Ovechkin to have a chance tomorrow night to break it, and 7 games remaining. He might even get 900 before the year ends. Who knows?
Yeah.
He's capable of that. So it's awesome to watch. It's been so great for the sport, and I think everyone right now would say he's going to do it. I don't think anyone's doubting him at this point that he'll do it this year.
Well, and what's awesome, Johnny, you see this in sports, right? Like when Kobe was towards the end of his career, or Jeter was towards the end of his career. The Yankees weren't that great. The Lakers didn't make the playoffs either. And what's cool is that Ovi's on a great team this year. The Caps have the best record in the Eastern Conference. However, according to odds makers, they still just have the 3rd best odds to win the Eastern Conference, plus 475, along with Tampa. You got Florida, who's at the top, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Hurricanes, who've been really good the past couple of years. Do you feel like the Caps are still getting disrespected, or is this just one of the classic cases where this team's having an unbelievable regular season, but once we get to playoff hockey, you think that certainly the Panthers, the Hurricanes, those kind of teams are a little bit above Washington?
I think both can be true. They're clearly having an incredible regular season, and I think just because of the lack of success Washington's had in the last 6-7 years, I don't think they've won a playoff series since they won the Cup in 2018. And that plays a little bit into the decision making and maybe the odds making and how people view the Capitals. We've seen teams have incredible regular season runs and just totally crash out in the playoffs. I don't think that'll be the case for Washington this year, but it's not like they're a much different team than last year. Sure, they brought in some. Sure, I don't know why I'm my speech is terrible today, but sure, they brought in some guys in their blue line like Matt Roy. They brought in Pierre-Luc Dubois. They've had some young guys in Alexei Protas and Connor McMichael who've stepped up. Now they have Ryan Leonard in their lineup. So they have a couple of different pieces. But this team, you look at Tampa, you look at Florida, you look at the teams in the Atlantic, even Toronto's having a great year this year. That division so much tougher this year than the Met. So I don't think anyone's doubting Washington in the first 2 rounds. It's going to be that 3rd round where everything seems a little bit different or more difficult just because, those 3 teams at the top of the Atlantic right now just seem to be playing at a different level every night. And I'm not saying the Capitals aren't, but the level of competition right now in the Metropolitan Division is just so much weaker than it is in the Atlantic. So that conference final, if the Capitals do get there, which I do think they will, they're going to be facing a really tough team. And again, it'd be tough to take the Capitals over a Tampa Bay, a Florida, maybe Toronto,
Right.
or maybe Ottawa if they get there. But Tampa Bay right now is the team that I have coming out of the East, if I were to pick a cup final today. So I don't know. It's going to be tough.
You have Tampa in the East. What about in the Western Conference right now? Winnipeg has been the team to beat all year in the West. They've had the best record. But Dallas right now, Johnny, they're favored to win the West. They're favored to win the Cup. Do you agree with that Dallas is the team to beat right now?
I actually have Colorado. I said it 2 months ago, even before the trade deadline, and they went out and they, made their center position so much deeper by adding Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle, and they revamped their goalie position this year with Wedgwood and Blackwood. Blackwood's been solid since the trade, and Wedgwood has put up some good numbers as well. Wedgwood's actually been the better of the two, but this Colorado team, they're appointment television. I watch them play every chance I get. The way that Cale Makar skates, Nathan McKinnon, Marty Necas has come in and been such a good addition. Ross Colton's a solid, underrated player. Like this team, when they won the Cup in 2022, and this would actually be a 2022 rematch, they were so deep down the middle, and they had pretty average goaltending. And right now, all they need is Blackwood to put up like a 9-10 save percentage, and they'll score enough goals to win hockey games. Their blue line shouldn't be slept on either. Devon Toews is one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. Like this team has a lot of talent, and I just don't know if anyone can keep up with them. And obviously, they're going to play Dallas probably, in that first round. It's going to be a dogfight. But man, I think the Avalanche are, to me, the most exciting team to watch in the NHL.
Any long shot dark horse teams worth watching, you think, as we enter towards the playoffs?
Like to win the Cup or to win a round or what?
Yeah, to win the Cup.
Dark horse, I'd say like the LA Kings. They've been unbelievable over the past 6 weeks. They got the best home record in the NHL. Darcy Kemper's been playing lights out in net. They're physical. They skate. They have a lot of skill, and guys like Kempe and Kuzmenko has been a good addition to the top line since the trade deadline. Kopitar is still playing at a really high rate. Their back end with Drew Doughty being healthy now is great. This Brant Clark's been a good young piece. Edmondson's been solid on the third pair, physically a cup winner. Like the Kings, to me, everyone's saying they could beat the Oilers in the first round. Like that's become a popular, take. But this team can do more than that. They got a tough one too in Vegas. Vegas is one of the best teams in the NHL this year. But the way LA plays, especially on home ice, they're going to be a tough out for anyone in a 7-game series.
Is there any team that you look at, Johnny, right now in the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference, when you look at the wild cards, that if they get in, you think could be dangerous, maybe pull off an upset in round one, maybe even find a way to get themselves to a conference final? Any teams that you look at on either side?
Yeah, I'd go with Ottawa. Linus Ullmark, if he can catch fire, goaltending, we obviously know, is huge in the playoffs. So if Linus Ullmark can carry them through a first round, and they might play against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Maple Leafs will sure in the world to perform in that series over Ottawa. Ottawa will literally be playing with house money. So they're a team to look for. And again, you look through their lineup, their top six is solid. That second line has been pretty good with Perron, Cousins, and Batherson ever since the trade was made for Dylan Cousins. Shane Pinto is a really strong third line center. Tim Stützle is one of the most underrated players in the NHL. He's got so much skill. Brady Tkachuk, obviously, we all know what he can do from Four Nations, and just the leadership he brings to this team. And he'd be playing his first ever playoff hockey, and he'd be ramped up for that. Claude Giroux, such an experienced veteran who's never won a cup. They'd obviously rally around him. And then their back end, Jake Sanderson's a guy who, again, I think people are now understanding how good he is after stepping in and stepping up in the Four Nations as well. So the Ottawa Senators, to me, they'd be just as dangerous as anyone in the position. Obviously, Brady Tkachuk isn't playing right now, but once he's back and fully healthy and ready to go, they're a team that I would not want to see in the playoffs.
I like it. All right, Johnny, before we let you go, I want to talk some college hockey with you. We got the Frozen Four starting next Thursday. Denver, Western Michigan, BU, and Penn State are your four teams remaining. Denver's the favorite to win the Frozen Four. Who do you like to win the national championship in college hockey?
I'm going to go chalk. It's so hard not to take Denver. I mean, the success speaks for itself. David Carl is one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in all of college hockey. Zeev Boyum is electrifying on the blue line. Jack Devine, I believe, leads the country in points and scoring up front. This team's loaded. They've gotten great goaltending in Davis, and I'm actually genuinely rooting for Penn State. I have a couple guys on BU that I know that I'm rooting for, and I want to see them win. But I think what a Penn State national championship would do for college hockey, just with the alumni base that school has and the popularity it brings to the sport. And Guy Godowski is not someone I've ever met, but a coach I really wanted to play for when I was younger. I actually went on a visit to Penn State my senior year of high school, and I was recruited there. They never ended up giving me an offer or anything because they actually came to watch me play, and I sucked that year after. But I think Penn State, if you can watch a college hockey game, at Pagula Ice Arena, like you will fall in love with college hockey. That place is unbelievable. And, I think seeing that program that was a club hockey program 15 years ago get a national championship would be incredible. And they obviously have some talented guys too. And Aiden Fink up front. And, Arsenij Sergeyev has been unbelievable in goal for Penn State. He actually stood on his head, last week against his former team UConn, and that game was incredible. That overtime goal was so sick. And, I think they're going to have a really big fan base go out to St. Louis and support them. So I'm rooting for Penn State. And I know I didn't mention Western Michigan. Alex Bump is a guy to watch. My co-host Kobe Cohen on our show thinks that he'll sign an NHL contract with the Flyers once their season ends. And it's great to see them in their first Frozen Four as well. They had a great fan base too in the Lost and Lunatics. So really happy for that program as well. But for me, it's all about Penn State.
All right, there you go. Jonny Lazarus, make sure you guys are following him on X at JLazzy23, host for NHL Daily Face-Off as well. Johnny, always appreciate the time. Look forward to talking to you soon, man, when the playoffs get here. Be well.
Yep, thank you, PJ. Appreciate it.